Um, Good afternoon, good morning, likely to some individuals on the call. We're going to give our collective audience 30 seconds or so to get settled in, pour an additional coffee, get that last email out the door before we get started today. But certainly excited to dive into a topic that I know the three of us here between Plative and NetSuite are super passionate about. Give it about 10 more seconds and then we'll get the show on the road. All right. Well, a quick way of introduction. My name's Jeff St. Louis. I'm a senior director here at Plative, and I'm joined with two AI enthusiasts, to say the least. And here today, we're very excited to talk through a recent release within the NetSuite ecosystem that I believe is going to be highly impactful for anyone that's on this call and anyone that's evaluating NetSuite as a potential solution. And so today we're going to spend very little talking about who we are, but more importantly, our perspective in and around AI and a recent AI connector within the NetSuite platform that's going to really help conquer your operations and really move the needle when it comes to streamlining business process areas. And so very briefly on who we are and maybe why you should care. At Plative, we are both a NetSuite as well as a Salesforce consultancy. We spend day in, day out helping organizations across multiple industries unify their process from marketing to ERP. And regardless of industry, AI and what that could mean for their organization, their team members has been front and center in almost every single conversation we're having. And so your takeaway from today, if you find yourself not really sure where to get started, there's a lot of noise around AI and it's hard to kind of plot yourself on a line and understand where you are and where you need to go. We can help in identifying some of the low-hanging fruit tactical wins, but also help dream up some of the more transformative solutions that can really change the way that you do business today. And what you'll see and what you'll hear, there's a lot of proof of concepts that AI exists and can exist. We are focused on the value that can be derived by AI solutions. And so part of our assessments and engagements will help you understand the highest ROI initiatives to embark on, especially as it pertains to NetSuite. But I've said so much in regards to who we are here at Plative. I'm very excited to call up to the stage Ranga, who is hearing from customers and prospects alike, and he's going to share a little bit more about the journey of AI within NetSuite.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. So I think this is a great slide. You've all been fed lots of different stats around what's happening with AI. And I think part of the thing that I want to share on some of these things is your company prepared for the rollout of AI? I think that's a really important question. And I know that a lot of companies are struggling with it. Whether it's a CEO, whether it's a CFO, the entire C-suite and boards are all talking about how do companies better adopt AI. And you're also hearing the MIT study, the 95% of these enterprise AI projects failing. But what you may not see behind those headlines is, while that is also the case, shadow AI or from a bottom-up perspective, people leveraging AI in their day-to-day to help themselves be more productive, to do day-to-day tasks, to do things that improve their business. And I think the important thing is, how does that AI, the AI imperative align with enterprise SaaS? And that's why, if you go to the next slide, I'm really excited about what we've done with where we look at the evolution of AI in NetSuite and some of the things that we are putting out there. So I think one thing I do want to make sure and make a note of, this is not new. NetSuite is not new to AI. We've been focused on AI for a number of years. We've been continuing to focus on it. But combined with what's happening in the industry, we've really been evolving what we did with AI. I always think about one thing to point out is that there's always this notion of classic AI. And I think this is still a really important use case and also concept of AI, where you're using that historical data to do forecasting, to do risk analysis. And it's really that it's using AI to create deterministic recommendations. And you see that across There's definite aspects of classic AI across the NetSuite portfolio and continue to be there. The next part of this, though, is the generative AI piece, and that really, as ChatGPT got introduced and the LLMs that are available, we've been leveraging OCI AI services within NetSuite to create this generative AI within NetSuite. And you've seen it with things like Text Enhance and some of the pieces that have gotten introduced into NetSuite. So you can use NetSuite directly to go ahead and leverage those generative AI capabilities, and it's just getting started. Really, though, the next evolution of this is what we see happening with agentic AI. That notion of how do these systems act with minimal oversight, interacting with systems and people to get things done, and really the introduction of the NetSuite AI connector was really the first step in this. And I'm not gonna reveal anything that's gonna be coming in the next few weeks at SuiteWorld. There's gonna be a lot of great things that are part of that. But what is out there today is the NetSuite AI connector, and Miftah is going to be showing you guys a demo of that. That's really cool. And this is really where you can have today. You can download the Suite app. It's available. It's free. You can connect it to your NetSuite system in a matter of minutes, hours, depending on your ability. But this is really where you can start to use generative AI and connect it directly to your NetSuite system. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this because really Miftah is going to be able to show you what this actually looks like. And when you really see, in this first example where Claude is connecting directly to NetSuite, you really start to be able to leverage that power of those off-the-shelf generative AI tools directly to the power of the NetSuite data. And there are so many great use cases that I've seen in just a few weeks since this has gotten released. And we're just getting started. You're going to see this. This is really the first iteration of it. You're going to see more as this evolves over time. And so I couldn't be more excited about what's coming with this. And I think really to see it is to understand it and what you can do with it. So with that, I'm going to stop talking as well and turn it over to Miftah.
Hey everyone. So my name is Miftah Khan. A little about me before we jump in. I'm the COO and head of professional services at Plative. Been here for almost 5 years, and I happen to also be the chief AI cheerleader at Plative. I launched our internal AI agent nearly 3 years ago and architected and led nearly all of our client AI implementations, whether it's on NetSuite, Salesforce, Slack, Snowflake, you name it. Super happy to be here, super happy to spread the word around NetSuite AI. And as Ranga said, I'm not going to be showing a bunch of slides on my end. I'm going to be doing more live demo. It's going to be very much show and tell for me. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Bear with me one sec. Okay, here we go. So before we jump into AI, let's ground ourselves a little bit first in NetSuite. We all know we have a ton of amazing and informative data and content in NetSuite. We have our standard objects like customers, sales orders, inventory items, etc. Most of us also have a bunch of custom objects. And then we have safe searches, we have reports, analytics workbooks, and we have dashboards. And here's a great example, right? Here we are on my homepage in my demo org. We have Plative's SaaS metrics dashboard, which our SaaS clients absolutely love. We have all of the key indicators that SaaS companies monitor, like ARR, like churn revenue, subscription renewals, etc. And this is super helpful, super time-saving, but it can definitely be better. What if we could talk to this data in natural language and glean even more insights, and not just insights, but also targeted recommendations? That is the possibility of generative AI, and that's where NetSuite AI connector comes in. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to head over just a little bit over to my next tab. And here I am in my favorite AI chatbot, Claude AI. and have, many of you probably like me have gone over to your favorite chatbot and asked it a question, maybe about data, enterprise data. And I'll start with a simple one, like, related to that dashboard we just saw. Give me a summary of my churn ARR. And not surprisingly, it's going to say, I don't have access to that information. And I could also go on to say, get me my churn ARR summary from NetSuite. See if I can coax it further. Again, sorry, I don't have access to this information. Notice that it, rightfully so, refuses my question. It does give me some helpful instructions on how I can get my data out of NetSuite, but it's not connected yet. And the good news here is that AI is not hallucinating like we've seen in the past. AI has definitely gotten a lot better. So it's not making up stuff when it doesn't have the information. What it's lacking is context, right? Bottom line is it doesn't have my NetSuite context yet. So how do we give it that context? That's where the NetSuite AI connector comes in. I've already installed the NetSuite AI connector in NetSuite. So on the NetSuite side, it took me maybe 20 minutes to get that installed. It was very straightforward, downloaded, installed, updated some permissions. I was good to go. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of that step-by-step in NetSuite. What I'm going to show you is a little bit of the setup on the chatbot side here. So we're going to head over to my settings. And in my settings, we're going to go to connectors. And you'll see I've already plugged in the NetSuite. I've already pointed it to the NetSuite AI connector. And we're going to hit connect here. I'm going to do a one-time setup so that my chatbot has a secure connection to NetSuite with my profile and my permissions. That is an incredibly important step. We all know we have a ton of sensitive data in NetSuite. So having this ability to authorize access to the connector for just my account, my profile, my permissions is absolutely crucial. So I'm going to go ahead and authorize it here. I'm already logged into NetSuite here as in this org with the Plative CFO account. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to authorize it. Okay, so now we are connected. Okay, so the next step, what I want to spend a little bit of time before we again jump into the demo is you're probably thinking, okay, we're connected. We all know that chatbots train their models on our conversations. Isn't that a risk? Isn't that a privacy risk or security risk? You're absolutely right if you're thinking that. So I'm going to show you now how you can mitigate that risk. So very important step. Everybody follow along. You want to go to your privacy tab. If you haven't done this already, you want to go down here and where it says help improve Claude, make sure you're not going to be helpful to Claude. You want this to be turned off. If this help improve Claude is turned on, the AI is going to train itself on any conversation and data that is shared within this account from NetSuite. So absolutely, we want to turn that off. In the future, when this is live on ChatGPT, same thing, make sure you turn off that feature. Now, one last thing before we go live and ask this wonderful chatbot a question, we're going to head over back to our connectors, and we're going to hit configure because I want to show you a little bit of what's happening under the hood. We want to show you what information does this chatbot have access to in NetSuite now that we've done this NetSuite AI connector connection. You can see there's a bunch of tools here that this connector has access to. And think of tools like power-ups for your AI. Here's an example, run custom SuiteQL. This basically enables the chatbot to build and run SuiteQL queries on the fly based on your question. There's a number of other ones that are out of the box. That's an out-of-the-box tool. We also have the ability to search a customer. We have the ability to get customer details, create up to customers, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the top, we also have a number of custom tools. So these are tools that I created personally in NetSuite, and they're exposed through that same connector. I have one called Get Save Searches, which basically it gives you an inventory of all of the saved searches that power that ARR, that power that SaaS metrics dashboard I showed in NetSuite a moment ago. Also have the ability to run any saved search. Simple tools to pull accounts receivables and accounts payables data. Okay, so this is what you're going to see, and these descriptions are really important because they basically help the AI understand when to pull out which tool from its tool belt in order to answer your questions. Okay, so now that you have a grounding on the tools that are available to the chatbot, let's go in and actually exercise this. So we are now connected. I'm going to go ahead and drop a question here. I'm going to ask it to analyze my churn stats. This is from my SaaS metrics dashboard, and give me a critical analysis along with some strategic recommendations. You'll notice I also said, don't give me any charts and graphs, keep it simple. I did that on purpose because the AI is it wants to please, and it's going to get very fancy on you very quickly if I don't say that. So I'm going to keep it really simple here. You'll notice as this is running, it's smart enough to figure out which tools to pull out of its tool belt. It's gone out and pulled all the safe searches from my ARR, from my SaaS metrics dashboard. And then one by one, it's actually going and running different safe searches. I can tell this is the churn ARR safe search. This one is running churn revenue. Third one is running customer churn. And you can also see like what information is coming back in those tool calls. And based on that, it's done a great job. It's actually pulled together this wonderful critical analysis, and it's given me a number of strategic recommendations. So wonderful. Now I can go one step further. Let's say I want to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to say, get me more details on top churn ARR, on my top churn ARR customer. Now, previously, it pulled out some of those custom tools that I enabled the connector with. Now it's pulling out some out-of-the-box tools from its tool belt, right? So it already knows who the top churn ARR customer is. It's now running a search against that, Global Supplies Incorporated. It's then pulling the details from that customer record, and it's even augmenting it with a custom SQL to pull even more data about that customer. And here we are. It's pulled even more details to enable me to do my job better. Okay, now I'm going to ask it to do something even more interesting. We're going to ask it to build me a churn metrics dashboard. I've asked it to build me, it's a pretty advanced thing here. This is super advanced. It's literally coding. It's literally going to code a dashboard after it pulls all of the data. But as it's cooking, just like they do in the cooking shows, I'm going to show you what the result of this cooking is going to look like first. I actually ran this earlier today, where it actually went through this process and took about a couple of minutes. Here's what it came back to me with earlier this morning when I asked it to build me a SaaS churn analytics dashboard. Okay, you'll notice it's a dark theme dashboard. You'll notice that I wasn't too happy with this particular widget in the dashboard. I've got a lot of interesting stats here and some critical actions. So what I did was I asked it to refine this dashboard. I asked it to, first of all, make it light theme instead of dark theme, because I'm not a fan of dark theme. And I asked it to make some improvements to this top churn customer dashboard. So this, I'm going to skip over to the next tab. This is what the second version of that dashboard looked like. And you can see it's a lot better. I have a lot more information here around churn revenue and churn ARR per customer. It's really insightful. And again, took a couple of minutes to build that. I can see it's still going, but you get the idea. So this is literally doable within your Claude AI within a couple of minutes, based on all the information, all of the data, all the safe searches. all the reports and analytics that you already have in NetSuite, with the added benefit of it being in natural language and very interactive. Okay, so let's recap what we just saw. We just saw the NetSuite AI connector in Claude. And again, in a moment, I mentioned before, like we are going to, by this Friday, also have the ability to use the NetSuite AI connector in ChatGPT. We saw how to authorize the connector with our profile and permissions. So it's a secure connection and only able to access the data that we're able to access. We saw how we can ensure data privacy by disabling model training with our data. We saw what out-of-the-box tools and custom tools the connector can have access to, right? We also saw the ability to then ask questions across a variety of data sets, and we witnessed how the tool in real time picked and chose which tools were right for the job and then executed those tools. We actually looked under the hood and saw what those tools were asking for and what information came back in those tool responses. And then ultimately, we saw it draw insightful conclusions and recommendations from that data. And last but not least, we built a tailored dashboard on the fly to visualize the data and the insights the chatbot was gathering. Super powerful, super flexible, hoping that was helpful to you all. I'm going to hand it back over to Jeff, and then I'm hoping we're going to open it up for some questions.
Yeah, and Miftah, maybe even just leaving this where it is, because we've got quite a few questions that would love your insight. And so we'll work through the list, maybe bottom to the top. One of the questions, can we utilize the AI tool to help code, scripts, and build workflows?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the Claude AI, I mean, pretty much all of them, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Claude are both extremely tuned at this point to be able to code suite script. The custom tool that I demoed, I didn't write it. Claude wrote that custom tool suite script. All I did was deploy it. So that goes to show you. And what was the second part of that question, Jeff? Flows.
Correct.
Yeah, that's another good one. That's a great use case as well. They're extremely good at writing flows as well, and reading metadata. One thing you can do is hook up in VS Code. If you're a coder, you could hook up in VS Code, get into agent mode or edit mode, agentic edit mode, hook it up to your repo. Also, educate it on other NetSuite repos that you might have or that might be public repos, and it can do wonders for you.
Yeah. And just building upon that, it was a secondary question, but does it have the ability to create its own saved search, or does it always have to be pointed at an existing saved search?
Currently, it's only, it's view only, it's read only, so it's able to read and run safe searches. The ability to create safe searches, I am not aware of it being on the roadmap yet. I'm sure NetSuite is cooking it up at some point. But Ranga, if you have any more context on that, chime in.
Nothing I can share at the moment, but yeah, I'm sure this is the sample tools that have been released are really just the starting point. You're going to see more as the standard tools come out, and this will continue to just evolve very quickly.
Thank you, Ranga.
I do want to say, I know you said this, Miftah, but I do want to just reinforce everything you're showing today is all available today. Like you as any NetSuite user, go to get the Suite app, get it connected to your Claude Pro, and all the stuff that you were showing, you can start playing with that within the afternoon.
Yeah, and I wasn't exaggerating when I said this earlier. I literally set this up in 30 minutes. The initial, and that was, there are people at Plative that I'm sure could have done it in 10, but it took me 30 minutes, and that's not bad.
There's an insightful question here as well, just in relation to, is any of what you were doing affecting the current NetSuite process as you were interrogating the information? What could a user expect, if anything, when it comes to delays or impacts?
No, this is using standard integration. And just like with any standard integration, you can sort of define the concurrency levels. So it's not having any meaningful impact to performance. Obviously, if you create a custom tool, right, that's running some suite script behind the scenes that is doing something heavy, that's a different story. But you have control over that. You have control over what process or flows you're exposing to the to the AI. So you have full control over that. So the answer is yes, only if you make that mistake. But generally speaking, no. All of the querying that we're doing is essentially the same as if you were to go into NetSuite and run those queries, run those safe searches. So it's not any added load at all.
The questions are still coming in. Not sure, maybe Ranga, directed at you in relation to, is there insight when there will be read and edit type functionality as a result of the connector, or is that still something that's on the future roadmap?
I can't really comment on the future stuff, Jeff, at this point. But I will just say, stay tuned, and also watch as the standard tool does come out, when that comes here in the next so many days or so, and then also at Suite World you'll see more information. But we'll be continuing to provide information on that. One thing I do love is Miftah was doing this as well. As you play with this, you can ask Claude, like, what can it do? And I think that's a really cool element as well. So, and as I've talked to customers about this, what they've done so far, they've got this in Sandbox. They've created a specific MCP user so they can really try it out before rolling it out. So that's really the other kind of best practice that I'm seeing folks try it out right now in customer environments. Connecting to Sandbox, using a specific role, really locking down what they're going to provide access. I think Miftah mentioned this, but I'll just mention as well, like, you can't connect the administrator to Claude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is one of the guardrails that's in place as well. But you do want to be sensitive to like what information you're going to give it access to as well when you do that.
Yeah. I will add though that NetSuite already, the NetSuite AI connector already has the ability to create customer and update customer. Those are out of the box tools today. You'll see there's a lot of getter tools already out of the box, but there's nothing stopping us from creating additional custom tools that do things in NetSuite and updated things in NetSuite or elsewhere for that matter. But if you're looking for more out of the box update tools, then those are things that would be on the roadmap. But like I said, you have full control over the ability to have the AI do things, update data through custom tools today.
There's a general theme in and around, we'll call it security. So one of the questions is related to what type of traceability is there for what is deployed by Claude, and then another one was in relation to the help improve Claude button, and how, if you can turn that off, turn that on, if it's all or nothing type relationship.
Yeah, I'll hit the second one first. Yeah, you'll definitely, I'm not sure what that means by all or nothing. I guess at the individual user level, yeah, if you're turning it off, you're turning it off for your account as a whole. That means, whether you're asking a question that uses the NetSuite AI connector or not, it's turning off that feature across the board. So in that sense, yes, it is all or nothing. But generally speaking, like I would default to, turn that off. So you're not model training on your data. Anytime you're touching enterprise data in an account, that level of security is, and privacy is important. Jeff, remind me, what was the other question?
Bear with me. Traceability of what is deployed or asked, or like look at it maybe as like an audit log of conversations with Claude.
Yeah, there is at the individual level, all of the questions that you're asking is obviously there in your history. So if you were to go here, you can see, prior questions, and you can go back to that. But as far as at the NetSuite level, do we have, a trace log of what all of the employees across the organization are asking and running through, through the chatbot? I haven't seen that yet, but I do know that with custom tools, you can log, obviously just like standard SuiteScript logging, you can track what's happening. I don't know what the answer is for the out-of-the-box tools, but again, like with custom tools, you have a ton of control and auditability.
And I don't have any further guidance on that either. It's a good question we can follow up on, but I don't have that answer.
And there are.
But Miftah, now, if you're doing, at least with the creating and updating customers, somebody does that, do you know how it gets logged into NetSuite?
For custom tools?
No, if you say create a customer record, if you use Claude to create a customer record, how does it get logged on the NetSuite side?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like for out-of-the-box tools, we'd have to do some research. For custom tools, because they're actually, at the end of the day, they're executing SuiteScript, and we can log through standard SuiteScript logging library. We can log, and then we can see those script execution logs in NetSuite. So, like I said, for custom tools that are hitting your custom SuiteScript, you have immense traceability and audit logging.
Got it. Makes sense.
We'll wrap with two questions. One's been posted multiple times, and then we'll get everyone out of here. But Miftah, this one is in relation to, is it able to decipher which fields you may be requesting data from, if not already in a saved search? Yeah, okay. I can elaborate further, but if you have
Go ahead, Jeff, if you can elaborate.
For instance, if I'm asking for a report summarizing year-over-year customer sales, and I don't have a saved search telling it what fields it could pull from. Sorry, telling it what fields it can pull, maybe from both the sales order record and mash it with data from the customer record. If you're clear on the fields in source and they aren't custom. Sorry, yeah, that's.
Yeah, because I've exercised that myself a few times, and it's been able to run different types of queries and then meld the information together. So the SuiteQL tool is something that the agent can use to run any ad hoc query, basically on the fly, and then augment that with safe search queries, the get customer details queries, etc. So the short answer is yes, but the more custom, if you have a lot of really custom objects, a custom data model where you have a lot of nuances, I would recommend in those scenarios create a simple custom tool that tackles that specific type of question or problem that's gonna, those types of questions that come up very often. But again, back, to answer your question, simply yes, the SuiteQL querying is flexible enough and adaptable enough that it should be able to handle most of the questions. But you can augment it and put some guardrails around it with some custom tools as well.
And then this last question, it's a rendition of it. The question was, can you talk about how Plative is embedding AI into NetSuite? I would love, Miftah, if you could share some of the exciting initiatives we've seen or requests that we've gotten from our clients, some projects that are underway, some themes that you've seen would be fantastic.
Did you plant that question, Jeff? That's a great question. I love it. No, that's a great question. I think we've done a lot. The one I'm most proud of is what we've done in the field service domain. Where you have a technician out in the field, they're busy, they're running from site to site. We've made it very easy for them on their on their mobile device to be able to take a photo of an asset on site and immediately scan in information about that into their visit record, into the asset record, like the serial number, the type of device it is, age of the device, all of those types of things. And then we've also made it very easy for dispatchers by enabling intelligent route optimization. So we're using AI to basically define the route, the most efficient, the most cost efficient and time efficient route for field service agents as they're going out on the road for the day. So those are a couple of examples, but there's a lot more cooking as well. Jeff, if you want to add to it.
Yeah, I've prior to, I think what we're so excited about MCP and the AI connector is before it existed, that's where a lot of our efforts had been focused on building in-app chat experiences that would persist, where you can ask questions structured or unstructured. And so that was actually the inspiration behind this use case, is that we had built it from the ground up. And I think that's what we're really excited about, is that the puck is heading in the direction that we were hoping it were to be. So now it's rethinking some of those original designs, but it's been across a variety of different industries, from nonprofit organizations that are looking to make intelligent grant recommendations based on the data that they have internally with their instance, or being able to augment what your inside sales team is capable of doing in matching inbound inquiries with the vendors and their supplies, and ultimately minimizing the delay from first interest to getting product out the door. And so that's one of the things. And maybe before I summarize here, Miftah, it looked like you had something else to add.
Yeah, no, I mean, that you just triggered a thought. Like we're also working with customers to build agentic lead qualification, agentic quote estimation with suppliers. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. We've also implemented agentic, customer risk and vendor risk analysis. So we always have this, holistic risk dashboard, because you can't be out there monitoring, news and adverse news and sentiment scalably if you're relying on humans. That is something that it's perfect for AI to do at scale across your entire customer base, across your entire partner ecosystem, vendor ecosystem, etc.
And I know we've overstayed our welcome to a certain degree here, but we appreciate everyone that has taken time out of their day to learn a little bit more about the recent release and what that might mean for you and your team. Your homework or takeaway, and I can still see some questions coming in, and I wish we had time to get to all of them. Reach out, go to our website, plative.com, hit contact us. We would be more than happy to set up a more personalized session of this exact discussion and help you understand not only what the AI connector can mean for you and your team, but what else could be enabled, whether that's in NetSuite, if it's connecting to other systems, whether it's AI, BI, integration, we've got you covered. And for many of our clients, we've helped, whether virtually or in person, get in a room and start whiteboarding what their AI journey needs to look like, some of the foundational changes they might need to make to their instance in order to get the most out of the solution at the end of the day. But to summarize, we're here to help. So please don't be shy. This will be an on-demand recording as well. So if you are very excited to see Miftah's second rendition of this, you should get a recording emailed to you afterwards. But appreciate the time today and looking forward to our next installment in regards to the evolution of AI within NetSuite. Miftah, thanks again. Appreciate the time.
Thank you all.